The world is watching the developments in Israel-Hamas war, and as this spillover can have major consequences, nations are trying to engage with Israeli and Arab leaders for mediation efforts. Our principal diplomatic correspondent, Sidhant Sibal, spoke to EU's ambassador to India to discuss the crisis. Listen in.
What is EU's policy on the situation in West Asia? We saw the terror attack in Israel and now a very deteriorating situation in Gaza as well. So if you can elaborate about the EU stance, especially when it comes to the calls of ceasefire.
Yeah, so actually it's a very timely question because there was a European Council, all the EU heads of state and government met and there was the conclusions of that meeting that really reiterated the EU position that we stood in solidarity with Israel when it comes to its security and its right to exist in a peaceful environment, and a strong condemnation of the terrorist attacks by Hamas. But we also restated our long-standing policy for the two-state solution in general, and in the short run, the absolute priority and a call for humanitarian pause and humanitarian corridors. International humanitarian law must be abided by, and no one stands above IHL, and that is, I think, a powerful message. There is no place for civilians bearing the brunt of suffering and become the collateral of the conflict. So that Israel wants to fight the Hamas threat. I think it's a legitimate aspiration and action that they want to take. But protecting the people, this is something which is absolutely key. And in the international humanitarian law, there are the principle of distinction between armed forces and civilian, the principle of proportionality, the principle of distinction, proportionality, and protection. So all these international principles must be ensured in the Strip of Gaza.
Mm-hmm. On the ceasefire aspect, what's the policy like? I mean, have you called for ceasefire? Or what's the
EU has called for a humanitarian pause and humanitarian corridors at this juncture. And when it comes to the conflict, the EU has not come to the position of a ceasefire, but is working intensively with all parties in the region to precisely go into that direction.